the world wakes up to a moment that feels strangely familiar and dangerously new. U.S. President Donald Trump steps to the podium, his tone sharper than ever. He declares that Iran has developed intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching not only Europe, but the United States itself. It is the first time an American president has said those words, and meant them. Within minutes, the news ricochets across the world's screens. Oil prices surge. Air Force One's route back to Washington is tracked by every radar station from Crete to Colorado. Trump's statement sets off a chain reaction. The Pentagon confirms the immediate deployment of F-22 Raptor stealth jets to Israel's southern bases, the largest concentration of U.S. air power in the Middle East since 2003. At the same time, U.S. intelligence launches a bold and very public campaign, an open call for Iranians, scientists, officers, and citizens to contact American intelligence through secure channels. By nightfall, Baghdad International Airport shuts its doors to civilian traffic. Flights over the Gulf are rerouted. Something is unfolding, and it is not routine. Analysts inside the Pentagon describe 4 intersecting paths that now define this moment. The first path: America's claim that Iran's missile and nuclear programs have accelerated far beyond what sanctions can contain. Trump says Tehran's scientists are building continental missiles capable of striking our homeland. It is, he warns, an existential threat. The second path: the Central Intelligence Agency's public attempt to recruit Iranians, a move without precedent. By publishing detailed instructions in Persian, the CIA is effectively waging a psychological war, inviting paranoia inside Tehran's inner circles. The third path: the arrival of F-22 Raptors at the Ovda Air Base in southern Israel, a region long viewed as the U.S. military's forward edge against Iran. Their deployment signals that the era of quiet deterrence may be ending. And the fourth path: mysterious, sudden, the closure of Baghdad International Airport under the pretext of technical malfunction. To observers, it looks less like maintenance and more like preparation. 4 paths. 1 destination: a collision course between Washington and Tehran. To understand why Trump's warning carries weight, we have to rewind to June 22, 2025. That night, the United States executed Operation Midnight Strike, one of the most complex air operations since Iraq 2003. 125 aircraft, 7 B-2 Spirit bombers from Whiteman Air Force Base, 37 hours of flight. They delivered 14 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator bombs on Iran's underground nuclear centers at Fordo Fuel Enrichment Plant and Natanz nuclear facility. Simultaneously, U.S. submarines launched dozens of Tomahawk cruise missiles at Isfahan Nuclear Research Center. The strike was devastating, but not decisive. The underground bunkers were damaged, not destroyed. And within months, satellite imagery showed reconstruction underway at Parchin Military Complex and Shahroud Missile Base. Iran's scientists had learned, adapted, and hidden their work deeper than before. This is why Trump's latest accusation feels credible to Washington, because the United States knows Iran can rebuild in silence, and faster than expected. After the 2025 strike, Iran shifted focus from uranium enrichment to ballistic delivery systems. Crude fuel missile assemblies appeared in newly fortified sites across the country. For the U.S., this is the red line. Ballistic reach equals strategic reach. If Tehran can launch a missile across the Atlantic, deterrence theory changes forever. So Trump calls it what it is, a direct threat to the American homeland. And those words carry implications that go far beyond politics. They set the stage for a legal justification of preemptive action under U.S. national security law. Iran responds with fury. State media brands Trump's speech a fabrication of fear, accusing Washington of manufacturing a crisis to distract from domestic politics and to serve Israel's interests. The rhetoric becomes a mirror of itself. Each side denies, accuses, and prepares. February 23, 2026. Just a day before Trump's announcement, the Central Intelligence Agency does something unprecedented. It posts a Persian-language video on X, formerly Twitter, calling on Iranians to share information safely and securely. The video shows a simple message: "If you know the truth, help us see it." The instructions that follow are astonishingly specific. Use disposable phones. Access Tor networks. Never log on from home Wi-Fi. Avoid the national intranet. Trust no one. It is less a recruitment ad and more a psychological weapon. The message is clear. The U.S. knows you are watching, and you can choose to betray your regime. The real impact is internal. Inside Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, commanders begin to suspect each other. Resources are diverted into counter-espionage. Time is lost to paranoia. The CIA understands this. Sometimes you don't need spies, you just need fear. That fear is fueled by real turmoil. From February 21 to 26, 32 separate demonstrations erupt across Iran. Universities become battlegrounds. Students chant against the government. Tehran alone hosts 20 protests in 14 campuses. But this is not just student anger. Armed groups like the Mujahideen-e-Khalq, MEK, re-emerge in clashes near Tehran. Reports of shootouts close to the Ali Khamenei compound surface on Telegram and Persian Twitter. The government denies everything. But the pattern is clear. Iran is bleeding from within. For U.S. planners, this is opportunity. Internal confusion plus external pressure equals strategic leverage. February 24th. 12 F-22 Raptor jets touch down at Avda Air Base in southern Israel. Their arrival is not a secret. It is a statement. Each jet represents the apex of U.S. air superiority. They departed from Langley Air Force Base, refueled over the Atlantic, paused at RAF Lakenheath, and arrived under escort. By law, the F-22 cannot be exported to any ally. Its presence in Israeli airspace means only one thing: America is here for business. Their role is clear. In any strike scenario, F-22s would enter first, neutralizing radar grids, dismantling air defenses, and opening corridors for B-2 Spirit bombers. They would clear the sky for the next wave, the GBU-57s that could erase Iran's underground facilities in a single night. Every pilot knows this. Every commander knows this. And every satellite watching from above confirms that the Middle East is on the edge of a storm. February 25th. The Iraqi Ministry of Transport announces a temporary closure of Baghdad International Airport. Reason: technical failure. Within minutes, social media erupts. Was it a drill, an attack, or a signal? The official denials sound rehearsed, but pilots and civil aviation controllers know the truth. Baghdad airspace is one of the busiest and most strategic corridors in the world. Its closure means something bigger is moving overhead. Behind the scenes, civilian airlines begin rerouting. Emirates, Fly Dubai, and Etihad extend routes by hours to avoid Iraqi airspace. European carriers halt flights to Kuwait and Tehran. The region is not just tense, it is radioactive. For months, pilots had reported something unusual: GPS jamming and spoofing over northern Iraq and the Gulf. Planes would drift off course by miles. Navigation screens would flicker. Experts now confirm that both Iran and U.S. forces were engaged in a silent electronic war. Signals collide. Coordinates blur. And somewhere between those signals, a civilian airliner tries to stay safe. For airlines, this is a nightmare. Fuel costs soar, insurance spikes, and every flight path is a risk calculation. For the Pentagon, it is an advantage. Fog of war before a single missile launches. While jets move and airports close, the narrative war explodes online. Tehran accuses Washington of fabricating crises to distract from domestic politics. Washington accuses Tehran of testing long-range missiles in secret. On Telegram, anonymous channels release leaked videos of missile tests and bunkers. On X, state media from Iran, Russia, and China coordinate hashtags within minutes of each other. Information becomes ammunition. And the truth, as always, is the first casualty. By noon on February 25th, Brent crude jumps past $110. The market reacts not to war itself, but to the fear of it. Every trader in London, Dubai, and New York is asking the same question. Will Iran close the Strait of Hormuz? That thin corridor carries 20 million barrels of oil a day, 1/5 of global supply. If it closes, even for a week, the world economy could tilt into crisis. In Singapore and Rotterdam, tankers idle offshore waiting for orders. Insurance companies double rates. The energy chain, already strained by OPEC cuts and climate pressure, bends under uncertainty. The price of oil becomes the new barometer of fear. Behind the scenes, the White House and the Pentagon coordinate through near-constant briefings. Trump meets his National Security Council in a closed session. Officials present an escalation ladder, a step-by-step map of pressure from sanctions to airstrikes. One version includes decapitation options, the targeted elimination of Iran's top leadership, including the supreme leader and his son, Mojtaba Khamenei. Trump listens, asks few questions, and reportedly says only one thing: America cannot blink. Those words leak hours later, fueling speculation that a strike order could come at any moment. In Tehran, the government calls the U.S. claims delusional. State-run TV airs footage of missile parades and declares, "The Persian Gulf will be the graveyard of invaders." Crowds gather in Azadi Square waving flags, chanting defiance. Yet, inside the regime, nerves fray. Commanders fear betrayal. Ministers argue over whether to retaliate diplomatically or militarily. For all its bravado, Tehran knows the risk. A single miscalculation could bring not just sanctions, but annihilation. In Brussels, the European Union calls for restraint. In Moscow, officials warn that an American strike would ignite the entire Middle East. In Beijing, state media accuse Washington of provoking instability for electoral gain. The world divides again. And oil prices climb higher. While governments posture, civilians pay the price. Flights rerouted, supply chains delayed, and fear grips travelers. Families stranded in transit watch breaking news from airport screens, headlines about bombers, bases, and brinkmanship. In Baghdad, taxi drivers wait outside a silent terminal. In Tehran, students whisper about the CIA video, wondering who among them might already be talking. The world feels smaller, darker, and closer to the edge. Every empire learns the same lesson. Deterrence is a dangerous illusion. Show too little strength and you invite attack. Show too much and you invite panic. Trump's administration believes that overwhelming pressure will break Tehran's will before missiles fly. But Iran's doctrine, built on survival through pain, might turn that pressure into fuel. This is the paradox of 2026. Both sides see escalation as deterrence, and that is how wars begin. February 26th, Geneva. Diplomats gather for what the press calls the last pre-war meeting. Delegates from Europe, Russia, and China arrive tense, exhausted, and uncertain if negotiation can still matter. Outside the conference, protesters chant "No more war." Inside, intelligence reports stream in. F-22s are fully fueled. Bombers are on standby. Oil hits $114. Every corridor in Geneva feels like a countdown. Fear spreads faster than truth. It infects markets, nations, and minds. From Washington to Tehran, decisions are being made in the echo chamber of fear, each assuming the other is ready to strike. Military analysts call it reciprocal escalation syndrome. History calls it the prelude to war. By February 27th, GPS disruptions intensify. Civil aircraft over Iraq report location mismatches of up to 20 miles. Some pilots describe ghost signals mimicking U.S. surveillance drones. The International Civil Aviation Organization issues an urgent warning. The region's airspace is unstable and hazardous. Airlines reroute again. Each new detour costs millions. Every detour adds hours to global shipping and trade. The unseen cost of tension becomes real. Economic suffocation. In a secure conference room beneath the Pentagon, generals debate scenarios. The question is not if Iran can strike, but when and how far. Intelligence shows new missile prototypes tested near Shahrud, their range approaching 9,000 kilometers. It's enough to reach the eastern seaboard. Trump's advisors urge caution, but the political mood favors action. The closer the 2026 elections approach, the more decisive the president wants to appear. Midnight, February 26th. Satellite feeds capture something new. Power surges at multiple Iranian military sites. Radar operators detect unusual frequencies from Isfahan to Qom. In the Persian Gulf, the carrier USS Abraham Lincoln shifts position, 20 nautical miles closer to Iranian waters. Jets are readied. Pilots receive encrypted briefings. Around the world, oil markets freeze. Trading algorithms pause. Everyone waits. And in that silence, the modern world holds its breath. Whether war breaks out tomorrow or not at all, something irreversible has already happened. Trust between nations, between allies, between truth and perception has collapsed. The new battlefield is not just land, sea, or air. It's information, economy, and fear. Every leak, every headline, every false radar ping can move billions of dollars and millions of lives. The world of 2026 is not one of peace through strength, but tension through transparency. Everyone sees everything, and that may be the greatest danger of all. As dawn rises over the Persian Gulf, F-22s sit in silence beneath camouflage nets. Their pilots rest beside them, waiting for an order that might never come, or could come in seconds. Tehran's mosques broadcast morning prayers. Washington's markets open in cautious quiet. And somewhere in Geneva, negotiators draft statements meant to buy one more day of peace. The story is not over. It's only suspended, hanging between diplomacy and disaster. February 26, 2026. The Middle East is a chessboard, but tonight every piece is alive.